What is going on, friends of good company? I have with me, as promised, the reason you guys are all here, Mr. Boba Fett himself, Mark Anthony Austin. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. I am excited to talk about the Book of Boba Fett with you guys, and yeah.
So I just kind of had my mind blown in the backstage. I had no idea. The stuff that you're seeing behind Mark right now, I thought these were pieces that he had collected, but in fact, if you want to let him know, those didn't come from a collection.
No, these are my paintings, drawing. I sculpted this guy, Rancor, out of super sculpey and a wire armature. But yeah, lots of artworks.
Look at that.
Just everywhere.
And what did you do with that?
Yeah, here's another self-portrait.
Oh my God, man. Those are gorgeous. Okay, so I didn't know about that. I'm gonna put a link in the chat right now. He's got a whole YouTube channel where he does all this stuff start to finish, right?
Yeah. Blank canvas to finished in about 7 minutes.
That's incredible. So
I had to find some royalty-free music. So it's not the best music. It's the music that YouTube would allow. Because,
I hear you.
They'll get you for copyright if you use anything that's recognizable.
Yeah.
So not the greatest music. I wish I had better music for some of these pieces. The Slave One kind of grinds on me, but
yeah,
I painted the Slave One on Bespin, and that music is kind of. I wish I could just switch the music out. Anyway, it's too late. Done.
Well, that's all right. Well, we'll get some people over there. It's a little ridiculous. There's only 325 subscribers on that channel, so get over there. It's Boba Fett ANHSE with spaces. Like I said, I put the link in the description. Get over there and sub up, man. I know I'm going to be putting that on for some background. That's awesome.
Give a bounty hunter review. Actually,
yes.
I can't say that anymore. I guess I can't say I'm a bounty hunter anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's a good foray. So, I want to dive into this a little deeper today and really talk about what happened. And like I said, I don't want to get you in any trouble or anything like that. So if you want me to use pineapple as a safe word, I'm going too far, you let me know. But how are you feeling about this coming out of the show?
Coming out the other side?
Yeah.
Relieved.
Okay.
I'm relieved because I was worried. I was worried only because in my mind, and I'm sure there are millions of Fett fans out there that agree with this. In my mind, it could have been messed up. There's 9 times out of 10 probability it was going to be messed up. 1 out of 10 they were going to hit it on the head.
Yeah.
And so this is close enough that I'm relieved.
Okay. All right. Way. Interesting take. So it could have gone worse.
It could have gone way worse.
Right.
Like I can live with what they've done. Because everything that they did with the character is going to affect me in some way. Because it's going to affect people's attitude towards the character. I'm associated with that character, so people kind of they're mad at Boba Fett or upset with Boba Fett. They're kind of upset with me for some strange reason because I wore that suit.
Yeah, just by proxy.
Yeah, and so I was kind of just worried. And when I voiced that in 2017. At the London Film and Comic Con, which was the last time I got to spend time with Jeremy and Alan Harris. I voiced just that, and my brother was in the audience. And he said, "You gave the wrong answer, dude. You gave the wrong answer." I said, "I gave the honest answer," because he said you could hear a pin drop because everyone wanted me to be like, "Yeah." It was like they were hyping or rumors about the Boba Fett movie at that time.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Yeah, Boba Fett movie. What do you think?" And I said, "I don't want them to do it."
Yeah, it's too nerve-wracking.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I really am worried they're not going to give me what I wanted. But just as a single sentence thing, I wanted a spaghetti western or a western feel, and I got it. So I'm relieved and kind of I can live with the small kind of things that irked me. I can live with those.
That's good. Okay, so that's a healthy take coming out of it, right? And I feel like, I've done a bunch of different polls on YouTube, and it seems like a lot of people are kind of in that same mindset. There's always going to be people that are way far on this side and way far on this side. I can tell you right now, there is somebody who associates with my community who burnt all the stuff that he owned because of the show.
Well,
Phil's gonna be mad at me for that.
I don't know. I mean, I can. When we get into it, doesn't have to be now, but when we get into it, I can give you my kind of summation of the whole show in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% down for that.
Okay, this is my summation of the whole show.
Okay,
let's rewind back to the very last episode of the second season of Mandalorian. Okay, second season of Mandalorian ends, and we get this teaser for Book of Boba Fett, and I was like, "Give me more of this. Whatever we've had these last 2 seasons, just keep it coming.
Yeah,
keep it coming. Come on, keep that train moving." And so that's how I went into episode 1. But at the end of episode 1, I didn't get that fulfillment that I got from episode 1 of season 1 Mandalorian, or from episode 1 of season 2 of Mandalorian. I didn't get that fulfillment, like, well, oh man, this is going to be great. I'm fully invested. It was kind of like a head scratcher a bit, like it was like a setup, like things being set up.
Right.
Different kind of feeling it gives you, kind of gratifying. And that went on for like 3 episodes. And personally, this is just me because I'm a filmmaker, and this is my opinion, just my opinion. I'm respectful of everyone else's opinion, but you're asking me my opinion.
You're in a safe place.
That's
here,
my
man.
opinion.
Let it out.
Don't get mad. Don't get mad. I have had my opinion changed by my brother on some things. We'll get to that later. But I would have preferred it chronologically. I could have had 3 episodes of the Tusken Raiders, 3 or 4. I wish I had 4 episodes of Tusken Raiders and made it 8 episodes long, and had the same last 4.
And then when you're done, just wash your hands of that portion of the story and move on.
I was loving the Tusken Raiders, and the thing I loved about it was because Fett was always a character that was totally reliant on his gadgets, his reputation, his mask, and long range, get it over clean, quick, burn it, whatever, disintegrate it.
A very modern man.
Yeah, and when he went to the Tusken Raiders, he had none of that, so he had to reinvent himself with close combat, up close and personal, kind of dirty, gritty, in your face, and so he actually developed as a warrior. Like he was already shown he's quite efficient when it comes to his gadgets and his armor.
Yeah, but
without his armor, we saw in episode 6 of season 2 Mandalorian that he can hold his own with a Guffy stick.
Yeah.
No? So I was excited about that. I would have wished they'd taken that Tusken Raider thing. I was in love with those guys. I was really sad when they got destroyed. Yeah. But fast forward, episode 4 comes along, and I'm like, yes, finally we're on track. Finally, we're moving somewhere. Episode 4. Loved that. Slave One goodness,
Slave One goodness.
Spoon feed me that all day. Right? And then episode 5, all I'm going to say is that if in The Mandalorian you had an episode and The Mandalorian wasn't in it, you'd be like, what the hell? What's The Mandalorian?
Yeah. It was a bit of a shock.
So I head scratch on number 5. But it was a great episode. I wish he was in it. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Episode 6, a great episode.
Yep.
Mandalorian,
again, no Boba Fett.
If you blinked, you missed him in that episode.
Yeah.
If you blinked the wrong time. And so for me, when it came to the finale, I was like, you have to deliver, guys, because I am ready to turn the tables over. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're calling it the Book of Boba Fett at this point, going into episode 7. Why are you calling it Book of Boba Fett? Why not just call it
Mandalorian 2.5? Yeah, that's what I said. It was like Tales of Tatooine or something like that. Yeah.
And so, but they delivered on episode 7. There's so many things that they delivered upon. They gave you so much goodness, so much fulfilling moments that all is forgiven. And like I said, I'm coming out of it kind of like we're through, and I can. So that's just my opinion, and I'm sure there's people out there that don't like a lot of things, and you're quite entitled to. I'm not trying to sway anybody out there. Like my brother, I told you, one of my biggest annoyances with episode 1 is like he walks into a bar, doesn't know this bar, it's a new cantina, could be bad guys in there, he doesn't know, he's in a precarious position, takes his helmet off, gives it to someone, like, what are you doing?
Interesting choice.
My brother had a good point. He said he's spending so much time with the Tuscans that he isn't as dependent on his armor and his gadgets as he was. So he doesn't feel that need to hide as much as, he feels a bit more comfortable out of the armor, because he's lived that life with the Tuscans. So I'll buy that. So even my opinion can be changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's fun. I love talking to people that can have their mind changed, because there's that, like the Tuscan take. I love that. Oh, Maspoka, that's awesome.
Gotta change it to Freetown.
Yeah, you should just take some Sharpie and turn it into Freetown. But that's awesome. I think that's a really good take when you kind of break it down and you look at the reasoning behind it. I think a lot of people were really caught up in kind of how much it did jump around, that some of that stuff got lost in the ether.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't like it.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good take where you're talking about, Boba Fett, he's used to shooting stuff at range. I mean, that's the guy. And then you strip all that away and you kind of got him building back up. It's like military training, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good take. So my question would be, in the finale, is there anything that you wanted to see that you didn't get to see?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, as I just explained, I told you how I was going into the finale. Very pessimistic.
Yeah.
Very shaken up. Like, oh my God, they got to pull it together. So, I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't anything that I got to the end of episode 7. I thought, dang Farrick.
Right.
They didn't do whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. I really loved the Cad Bane. That kind of was the bow for me. It was like, I was waiting for the Rancor for.
Yeah, everybody was. Yeah.
I knew it was coming. I'm gonna have to put a Rancor Boba Fett on this guy.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that, and that delivered. I really liked the harkening back to the destroyer droids from, with the force fields. There's just so many cool things. The Rancor throwing the land speed at those guys, loads of stuff that was good and fulfilling. I'm sure there's nobody out there that really, is 100% behind the mods. I wish the mods were a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't wish they were dusty, because they're riding these things through Mos Espa, kicking up dust, and there's not any dust on them. They're like the cleanest people in Mos Espa. So
that's been a point of contention in the fan base. Has definitely been the people, the Skittles gang, the Power Rangers, whatever you want to call them. For me, it was a major misstep, and I just have to be honest about that. It was a major misstep. I think they could have done a lot different. But what would you have done to fix that?
I would have made them more like the other biker gang. Just dusty. Like they can have that fashion, but it's going to be affected by Tatooine. That's where they live. Yeah. Everyone else is covered in dust except them. Yeah. And everything else is covered in dust except their bikes. It's like, come on, if you want to embed these characters and their vehicles into this world, then embed them, make them part of it. I don't think they've got any technology that repels dust, I don't think that's even worth exploring.
On a planet that's scarce of water, it seems like washing your bikes down every morning is probably kind of a waste, right?
I don't that kind of bothered me. The fact that he only hired 2 Gamorrean guards, I wanted him to hire a whole menagerie of aliens like Jabba had. I was hoping to see a character like Bosk or Dengar or Fort Nom or Zuckuss or somebody just as an extra thing. So I guess that might have been one of the things that I was hoping to see and didn't. But then I wouldn't have liked that character just to be shoehorned in, just for for the fans. I want it to be a character that's in there that served a function. Came to his aid. He was one of the mercenaries that he said he's got a ton of credits that just need muscle.
Yeah.
Well, hire the best then.
Hire him. Yeah.
Have IG-88 come in. Have Dengar come in and man it. That would have been it's fan service, but it would have been
a moment
for the story.
Yeah.
If he's going to hire muscle, I'm sure he can rely on the muscle he knows, and he knows those guys. So
that would have been. I think that would have been like if I'd have had my perfect finale, that moment when they're fighting. I would have had IG-88 come in on a speeder bike the way IG-11 shot through the town and start wrecking people. And then I would have seen Bosk jumping from rooftop to rooftop like, oh, I guess the credits came through. And they just start wrecking people. That would have been beautiful. And people would complain and just say, it was a cheap cameo. But I love fan service.
I would have swapped the mods for those guys.
All day.
I would have swapped. But then I'm kind of like, I'm a huge fan of the original trilogy, and I'm just really the reason that I am so invested in this series and The Mandalorian is because it centers itself around the same time frame as the original trilogy. Like I'm more interested in this time period,
right?
That kind of the Empire, kind of just post Empire. That's what draws me in. So I'm hoping that because he's established Boba Fett is the Daimyo of Mos Espa, and Din Djarin knows he's there, knows he can call upon him if he needs him. I'm just hoping that we see much more of Boba in season 3 of The Mandalorian. So
that's an interesting question.
I hope.
They're talking about, I think this was probably a setup when Din Djarin is saying, now you have to go back to the waters. You have to become a Mandalorian again. Do you think he's going to take Boba with him?
I don't know. I didn't know whether it was a departure on Din Djarin's part. Like, okay, I guess I'm not part of the creed anymore. I've been ousted by those guys, basically. I didn't know whether it was kind of where he felt like, okay, I'm more akin to someone like Boba Fett. I feel more of a bond with this guy now. Someone who's kind of outside of that, and maybe Bo-Katan and that, and his rejection from his creed, kind of like I didn't know how that was going to play out, and I'm hoping we find that out in season 3. That because we were kind of invited into the kind of the inner workings of his creed in the first season. He followed that creed throughout the second season, and now in the third season when it comes, he is no longer part of it because he took his helmet off in front of somebody else. It's the biggest sin. You can't ever do that. That makes you less of a warrior. Kind of I don't know. I'm hoping that they develop that. That's a good kind of like chunk of meat to kind of really work with for season.
Mandalore lore.
Yeah. Or just kind of like I really liked how I love that part where they met with Bo-Katan and he's like surprised they took their helmets off.
Yeah, you're not Mandalorian.
Like, what? Yeah, I love all that stuff. So any more of this kind of Mandalore creed or factions, having different opinions and that, I love all that stuff. And maybe the return to Mandalore we'll see in season 3.
And that's what I'm wondering. Is that what they're working towards? Do you think they're working towards those guys headed to Mandalore and then the battle for the Darksaber and becoming Mandalore?
I mean, it can't not be really, because they've set everything up at the end of with the whole dark sword and Din Djarin defeating Moff Gideon and they've set it all up, so why not? I mean, I am like I said, just give me more. Just give me more of whatever you're doing for the Mandalorian. Just give me more of that, and I'm sure that this book of Boba Fett was different to those 2 seasons because they kind of set everything up to work with it. so that now season 3 we can carry on as normal.
Right.
So I think this was kind of like a. See, when they said the book of Boba Fett, I really was thinking that we was going to get a collection of all his stories that contributed to his reputation. Like,
right,
find out, how he met Dengar, or how he interacted with Bosk, or I really wanted to see him in the book of Boba Fett when he took over Jabba's palace. I was kind of upset because I really wanted to see him go on a bounty hunt, because we haven't really. The only bounty hunt we've followed him on is the one with all questions attached to it. How did he get to the Avenger? How did he get Slave One over to the Avenger from Darth Vader's? There's always kind of like questions associated with his other bounty hunt we followed him on, and it was only kind of loosely. I wanted to see why he, just like in season 1, episode 6 of Mandalorian, you got them saying why are these Mandalorians all that, and then Din Djarin shows them.
Yeah.
And even when they imprison him, he turns it around and imprisons them. Like, yes, it was basically everything I wanted for Boba Fett was in, the Mandalorian. And a
lot of people are saying that kind of Din basically got what Boba should have gotten.
Yeah.
And they kind of wrote Din as Boba, and so they kind of they were kind of stepping over themselves trying to give Boba what he needed because they'd already written the story.
I think the reason they chose to go with another Mandalorian is because there is so much sensitivity attached to Boba Fett. There's,
right.
Like you said, your friend was burned all his merchandise or something. people react different ways to this, and so I think in a somewhat of a smart way, they kind of tested the water with another Mandalorian to show kind of what Boba Fett's life was like, but not say this is Boba Fett, because there's so much passion for this character. Let's put it that way.
This is a good trial run, and then it just blew up.
I felt like part of the reasons that the first 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett irked me was because they were kind of making a bit of a chump of Boba Fett. He was in and out the back to tank all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the guys with shields beat him up straight away. I was like, what's going on? It's like, I felt like they were doing a disservice to the character.
And it was stated on screen, nobody respects you. You're getting soft. No one respects you, which I think was on purpose, obviously, but it didn't feel good.
It didn't feel good. Not as somebody who loves Boba Fett like I do. I take it just as personally as a lot of fans out there would, because you feel like all these years of fanship kind of give you an attachment to this character that you've been obsessed with. So it felt like a punch in the gut when he was kind of a bit of a chump character, whereas the Mandalorian was given all the stuff that you wanted for Boba.
Yeah.
Din Djarin was, had that. I'm really glad that they had that conversation, the kind of the Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid kind of conversation about, are you going to stick around? You should take off. No, I'm staying. Do you buy into all that Podo? And he says, yeah. Good. I'm so glad that Boba Fett said good and agreed with him, because for me, Boba Fett was that honorable character. Like, he had a code.
Yeah.
And I always thought so. I didn't think he was just like a mercenary that was just, purely out for personal gain. I thought he had some kind of code and some kind of honor that he followed. Because honor is something that is kind of, so it's like a dead word now in the world.
Right.
There doesn't need to be much honor left around, and that was one of the things growing up as a kid that was like one of the most important things, was your word and your honor was like huge. And so for Boba Fett to say good, just him saying that one word just like fulfilled me a bit.
Yeah. And I always kind of compared, and rightfully so, you compare Mandalorians to knights in a way. Obviously they're in plate armor, they've got helmets. And that kind of the chivalrous code, that honor is so important to them. And so, I thought that was really cool that they had that moment. For me, that was my favorite moment of the finale, because you had Cad Bane saying, he's just a merciless killer I worked for the Empire. And then to offset that, you have, well, then we'll both die with honor. That was like,
and it was a reflection. It was a kind of an echo of when Boba said to Din Djarin, "No, I'm going to see this through to the end. I told you I'm going to get you your help you get Grogu to the Jedis."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm with you."
Yeah.
He kind of showed that honor in season 2 of The Mandalorian. So I'm really glad that they kind of had that repeat, and that they're fighting back to back out the front, kind of Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid style.
Yeah.
Love that.
That was good content. I did enjoy that. Like I said, there are things I wish I could have seen in the finale, but there's always going to be stuff that I wish I could have seen in Star Wars. You know what I mean? I would have been happy if Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan jumped in the finale and just was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't care. I love it. You know what I mean?
That's the thing is that even though you weren't quite satisfied with those first 3 episodes, they've given you enough along the way. Love moments, little kind of Star Wars nuggets of goodness
and they've been so good about the fan service, I feel like. And and for me personally, I loved episode 1 and 2. I was into it. I was way into it. And luckily enough, I'm on record now because I'm doing watch parties. I could be like, you can't go back and tell me I didn't like it, because I was loving 1 and 2. And then for some reason when I got to 3, I think that's when it kind of took a turn for me. And then 4, we get the Slave 1 back. I think I was still just kind of upset about 3, and so I was a little bummed out. And but I did start to notice, and I was thinking about it as I was watching the show, they give a lot of nods to the specialized editions in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, there's mentioning Scurriers and
Scurriers,
and all that goodness. So I felt like I've got an attachment to all that stuff. So
yeah. I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I got to talk to Mark about this. He's going to be so happy.
I want a Scurrier burger. I want to try that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of kind of like nice nods to the special edition. It gets kind of, it gets stoned every now and again, by the
what doesn't? What Star Wars doesn't?
But I don't know. I was always of the opinion, if George wants to do this, he's the only person on the planet that has the power to say so.
Yep.
So if he wants to do it, I'd rather try and help him do it than, and try and help him do it well, than, say, oh, I'm not having anything to do with this, and you just hire somebody else to do it,
Yeah.
It's going to get done. I'd rather help him try and make it good.
As good as you can,
As good as you can, yeah. And there were certain things that I wish they hadn't done, that I didn't know they had done until I saw the movie. I didn't know. I thought it was a vicious rumor about the whole Greedo thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was just rumor. I thought it was just people telling me, because I was at Disney at that point and I'd left Lucasfilm. And so my friends at Lucasfilm mentioning it, I thought, you're just saying that just to wind me up.
Yeah.
That's not going to really happen. So stuff like that, I wasn't a big fan of. I was always trying to push, but why are we doing Jabba CG? Why don't we just get the puppet back out? Because the puppet's real. For me and everyone out there, the puppet is as real as anyone else on that set.
Yeah, it's a character.
So I wasn't a big fan of that they were pushing the CG for that when it was obvious at the beginning that it wasn't kind of working. And when Steve Williams he kind of tried to offload Jabba onto me, and I said, look, Steve, I've got all the other creatures and land speeders and robots to do. I can't do Jabba as well.
Yeah,
that's your baby.
Not my problem.
Not my problem. And even when they put Jabba in, and it was kind of working at one point, it didn't look great. The skin didn't look great. The eyes didn't look right, but it was kind of starting to work. And then Harrison went around the back, and someone pointed out about what about Jabba's tail? I'm like, no, don't even bring.
Oh God!
Don't even worry. No one's going to care.
Yeah.
No one's going to care. Just don't mess with it. And once they planted that seed, then it became a thing. And
yeah.
And then they had someone Roto Harrison going up and over. Oh,
Was that so? That
Horrible.
was the problem, right? Was him going up and over the tail?
Horrible. They
Yeah.
should. I was like, no one's going to care. He's got his tail to the other side. No one cares. Movie magic.
Yeah.
No one cares. Just leave it. And yeah, so there were a couple of things that I really was upset with that I didn't know was in there, but all the stuff that I had put in there, I was quite happy with. George was happy with, and like I said, if George loved it, then I loved it. So
can you run us down a list of what you worked on for that?
Yeah, I worked on Dubaks, Rontos, Scurriers, the fake land speeder that goes into Mos Eisley with the fake characters on. Robots, it'd be robots lumbering along, robot flying, fake stormtroopers on the Dubaks, fake Jawas on the Ronto. And that was it. And jumped in the suit. But
he jumped in the suit, yeah. And I still have my Ronto, man. I have my Power of the Force Ronto. I love that thing.
I love my Ronto.
Yes. Yep. I still got it.
You know the Ronto is a brachiosaur from Jurassic Park?
No.
With new skin?
No. Did you guys just use the model or
Raptors with new skin?
Is that really?
They recycled the can't think of the word now. Rig, the animation rig. Just put new skin on the top, which is not something you can do, and we've learned that the hard way on that show. But recycled Jurassic Park.
So Jurassic Park is in Star Wars,
huh?
Jurassic Park is in Star Wars, man. You heard it here first.
Actually, the Ronto came. I was in there when George was trying to. He called it the dinosaur creature, or the dinosaur, the Brontosaurus creature. He just kept calling it. And they said, "Well, what is this creature called? To give it a name." And he was, "I don't know, just call it a Bronto or something. A Bronto. Let's call it a Ronto." And he just took he knocked the B off, and I was like, I felt like privileged to be at its naming.
Yeah, dude.
Had George think up a name, because you always wonder, did he come up with Vader because of father in German?
Yeah, Vader.
Does he come up with that? And you always wonder, how he came about naming some of these characters. So it's so cool to see one of them named anyway.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, an indelible mark now forever on Star Wars, other than obviously being Boba Fett, which was pretty awesome.
So my dream come true.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And you guys are doing a meetup in March, right?
Capitola. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
Santa Cruz. There's gonna be 5 Boba Fetts for the first time ever. They've had 4 before, but they never had 5. This is new for a con.
That's gonna be awesome. Are you going down to Nashville for ICCC?
Haven't been invited. Not this year. I did the last 2.
I'll invite you.
I did the last 2, and I think they like to swap people out.
Yeah.
And I was quite happy not going. I've been to the last 2. I had fun.
Yeah. And
then the last podcast I did, I got invited to go with them on their booth.
Oh, right.
So maybe I'll go. I don't know. I'm quite happy to not go.
Yeah. It's my first convention. I've never been to a Star Wars convention, and I'm going to ICC in Nashville. I know I'm 30 years old, and I've never been to a convention. I feel
it's more of a toy convention than a Star Wars convention. But
yeah, I don't really collect much, so yeah. So Santa Cruz a little bit later this year. Is it March?
Yeah, March 6th.
Okay. Well, that's gonna be awesome, man. I mean, Tem's gonna be down there, right? Tem and Daniel and
no, I don't think Tem's gonna be there.
Oh, Tem's not going.
If Tem was there, it'd be 6.
Yeah.
It's Daniel Logan, myself, Dickie Beer, John Morton, and Don Bees. But I'd love if Tem turned up. That would be 6. That would be even more of a record.
That'd be incredible. Yeah.
I've never met Tem at all, so I'd love to meet the guy.
You were just up in. So I actually got sent by my work up to Portland. I was up there for a couple weeks, and I went to a Star Wars store in Portland. And apparently, you had just been there not all that long ago, signing with Daniel Logan. I think you guys were signing helmets or something.
No, not in Portland. No.
Oh, outside of Portland.
We did a whole big signing that got shipped up to Portland, a couple of years ago, and
okay.
I post those pictures on. Whenever I post those pictures on my social media, I was like, "Where where can I get one of those? Because this is
Yeah.
helmets and helmets and helmets, Black Series.
I gotcha. Okay.
My
That
hand
makes a
was
little bit
tore
more
off.
sense to me.
Huh?
That makes a little bit more sense to me because the guy at the store was like, "Oh yeah, they signed all this stuff for us." I'm like, "Oh,
we did, but we did it at Daniel's house."
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, I saw the pictures for that. Okay, well, we've gotten off track. We've gotten into collectibles, which I'm always happy about. But I'm interested to hear, do you think we're going to get a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett? And if we do, what does that look like?
I hope so. I hope so. Well, for one thing, it's a cash cow. I mean,
right.
It's gonna be popular, so why not? But also, I'd like to, just because I'd like a season of Book of Boba Fett where we're following him without this back and forth, this jumping, skipping, into the back to that flashback. I there's some movies that it works for, but for me, that it just wasn't working on this. I wish they'd just taken it through chronological order. And one other thing kind of bothered me. It was one line when Boba Fett says, he says, all the years I spent in the Sarlacc. I'm like, what? What do you mean years? Like,
wait, did he say that in Book of Boba Fett?
He says in the Book of Boba Fett. He
all
says
the years?
I think episode 4 when it's all to Fennec. And he says about all the years he spent in the Sarlacc or something like that. And I'm like, but your air would have run out in, I'd say, like 24 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
Like, air would run out. He'd suddenly gain consciousness because he's run out of air, grabs the stormtrooper, I can breathe again. I've got to get out of here kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was like 2 to 4 hours max he was in there before.
Like the next day, because the fires are out.
Yeah.
The fires are out. But yeah, when you watch it next time, just look out for that. I didn't understand that line. That line for me, because I said after the very first episode, I did a podcast talking about what we thought of episode 1, the beginning of Book of Boba Fett and all that. And one of the things that I mentioned in it, I said, well, we've got a long time to spend with the Tuskens because I assumed this was like the next day that he escaped from the Sarlacc, or the day after that. But that's about it. Escapes from the Sarlacc. This is the beginning of Return of the Jedi, so we have to wait for the whole of the Rebels getting their act together, Luke going back to Dagobah saying goodbye, Rebels kind of forming their massive fleet that they're going to attack the second Death Star with. All that battle happens. Battle finishes. Empire gets destroyed. Empire's no more. We have the whole season 1 of Mandalorian. And then Boba Fett turns up. So I said he's got to spend all that time with the Tuskens. So I was looking forward to, like I said, 4 episodes of him just learning Tusken lore, learning not to have to depend on his armor if he hasn't got it, and if he has, great. And listen for that line. I'm sure I didn't mishear it.
That had to have been a misstep because there's just no way they kept him in the Sarlacc for 5 years. There's just no way. There's no way.
No. I don't know how long that period, because we were discussing that, how long would it be from the beginning of Return of the Jedi to the end of season 1 of Mandalorian? Like, how is that? Months? Is that over a year? Is it less than a year?
Yeah.
Well, that was a big debate, that question mark that I had after episode 1. So,
well, I mean, for me, it was always just kind of an undisclosed amount of time that he was with the Tuskens. But I mean, when it comes out of the Sarlacc pit, that wreckage is still smoldering. I doubt that fire was going for 5 years. You know what I mean? And this was also kind of I don't know if you noticed this. This was kind of weird. When he comes out of the Sarlacc pit at first, at daytime, there's no smoke and no fire on Jabba's sail barge. And then that night, when the Jawas show up, it's smoking and smoldering. So I wonder if that was an added shot and they just missed putting the smoke in, or what.
I don't know. And I didn't ever expect him to come out of the Sarlacc sideways. I thought
at a 45. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't. And also, I mean, it's funny, but he went into the Sarlacc thin and he comes out not so thin. So maybe that
a lot of calories.
That's where the time factors into it. I don't know.
Oh man. Oh, okay, so there's some clarification. So Xwing, he says that's where I was all those years ago.
Oh, all those years ago. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. See, look, I can be corrected. See?
Yeah, I was. I feel like I would have hounded on that
All those
right
years
after the
ago. That
episode.
makes more
Yeah,
sense. Good, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
that's good. Yeah, because that would be like a major break for me.
Yeah, I misheard. I'm
Okay,
glad I misheard. I'm glad I misheard, and it wasn't in there.
so this whole thing, I mean, it seems to me to definitely lead to a season 2. I feel like we've got a lot of unresolved stuff with the Hutts, because I don't
Yeah.
feel like you bring in those twins and spend all that money bringing in these big beautiful twins and then you don't do anything with it, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was the thing with the first 2 episodes. We keep jumping around, and like nothing landed. Like, you know, he wants his tribute. Mayor says no. Guys come and beat him up. Who sent you? The mayor. Why'd you send them? We didn't send them. It was like, well, it kept jumping back and forth. And
Mark, I had to actually sit down and build myself a graph to rationalize this. I literally sat down and I made myself a graph. I'm like, okay, so we've got the Tuscans who are bad, but they're good. But now the Nictos, and then we have the assassins and the Hutts, but the mayor. But also, where was Bib Fortuna in this whole equation? When we were, because there has to be some point where he goes and guns down Bib, and then we've got the crime lords and pikes, everything. It was just like, I was trying to really make sense of what was going on, and it felt like the first 4 episodes had a completely different feel than the last 3.
Yeah, because I think, like I said, if they'd just done it in order, we would have been a lot clearer. Maybe the fact that they did the flashbacks was to kind of make the loose ends not so obvious or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
kind of
I mean,
sanding it.
who can not love seeing Luke Skywalker again? I mean, Luke back again was amazing. You know, even though, you know, no Boba Fett there, nothing to do with Boba Fett. It was so great to see Luke again. I mean,
and especially as somebody who works in special effects, to see that done, I mean, that was mind blowing.
Yeah,
absolutely mind blowing.
That was what I was hoping. You know, it was hoping that they do that for you know, the season 2 of the Mandalorian, that have, you know, get the deep fake guys in.
Yeah,
they do such a great job, and I think they finally hired that guy. So yeah, it was good to see Luke in there. Just Luke goodness. Yeah,
real Luke, the Luke we love.
All day.
Yeah, that's where I was at. Everybody was like, "Well, what do you think about this?" I'm like, just let me hang out in this, bask in this glory for a little bit, and then we can talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you think they're gonna do a Luke show?
I don't know. I mean, when Phantom Menace came out, and the opening scenes with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, I wanted a whole movie of just following them on their Jedi adventure. I would have been happy if Phantom Menace didn't move past just their relationship.
Yeah.
Like, forget meeting Anakin. Forget that, can be episode 2. Like, just, I want to see Jedis doing Jedi stuff when the Jedis are in full power. That's what I want to see. Like, and so I'm hoping that maybe we see some of that in Kenobi. We see, like, you know, flashbacks to him and Anakin on missions doing stuff together or something. I don't know. Maybe it's too hard to do, but yeah, if we had Luke just doing his, you know, whatever he does, I quite happily follow him. You know,
there's so many expanded universe stories of, you know, Luke obviously going out, and they've introduced Thrawn. Obviously, you know, he's canonized, and all of those are possible opportunities. But I have to agree with you. You know, I'm a prequel baby. I was born before the prequels came out, after the OT. I loved the OT first, but I'm really a prequels baby. And there's so many good books that really do come from that era. Master and Apprentice is one of my absolute favorites, man. And so to see some more adventures of that, I'd be super up for it.
And what we were like, I mean, I'm still expecting Thrawn to turn up sometime.
At some point, right?
Yeah, because I mean, we heard his name, I think, halfway through or beginning of season 2 Mandalorian, or somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
So I've been like, well, where's Thrawn then? I can't wait to see that guy. Come on.
He's an interesting take, because as soon as we see Thrawn, now we're tied in with Rebels too, and we need to know what's going on with Ezra. So I think a lot of that stuff is really going to happen when we start to get the Ahsoka content.
Yeah,
as we get closer to that.
It might be the fact that, you know, Mandalorian kind of like dovetails into Book of Boba Fett, dovetails into Kenobi, dovetails into Ahsoka. You know, it might be that all of these threads come across and paths kind of, you know, work together. It seems to be kind of where they're going with it, and kind of like the same way that back in 2010 is when I got hired to work on the first Avengers movie, and we got the rollout of their expectation of what they're going to do with all these different characters, all kind of threaded together and coming together for something. And it seems like a Star Wars version of just that.
Well, I mean, it would make sense, right? This is Din Djarin is Star Wars' Iron Man, right? And Jon Favreau's kind of taken that same direction. This is kind of the inception of that universe. But when you were working on that, was it like a 10-year plan?
Yeah, no, yeah, they rolled out. This was Victoria. I can't remember her second name. She's like the head in charge of all the Marvel movies, and she rolled out this kind of loose plan of that this is going to be part of the beginning of this whole thread of not just Avengers movies, but Avengers movies and character movies that work into it. So it was like, oh, that sounds like you got like 15, 20 movies all connected. Crazy.
Yeah.
Never been done before. And so, it's kind of been fulfilling seeing how that has panned out. And I got to work on a couple of the other Marvel movies down the road, but it was interesting working on that first one and hearing that whole setup. And that's why I'm thinking that maybe that will happen with these episodic TV Star Wars shows. So
it's all going to wind together. And I think they had said that, right? And they had said that this is going to culminate in a big cinematic finale, right?
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Kathleen. Somebody said that this is all going to culminate in one big movie event, which, get out the popcorn, kids.
Yeah, he loves it too.
Oh my God. Please tell me that's a full size R2.
I wish I had a full size R2.
Oh man, I'm building a half scale one right now.
How big is that? That must be like bigger than the Control one.
It's made by a company called Fan Home. It's ish. It's a pretty good size. It's all electronic. We're doing all the wiring, and you got to build the frame and stuff like that. It's a great build.
Nice. Is it expensive? Or kind of?
Yeah, no, it's super expensive. It shouldn't be as much as it is, but it's one of those subscription services. So, they send you a box every month, and then you add stuff onto it, and then they send you another box and you add stuff onto it. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so overall, I guess you're happy with the show coming out of it. I think you were more nervous going into it. That might have been what scared you.
Yeah. Like I said, all I wanted, because everyone knows that Star Wars was based upon the Seven Samurai, and Mandalorian, at least for me, it felt like Man and Cub, which is another Japanese movie. But for the Mandalorian, when they announced Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, I was hoping they'd center it around a Western kind of feel. And it certainly has. It's kind of checked all my spaghetti Western, high noon, shootouts. We had that, the people of Freetown turning up. Everything feels more like, because this is Tatooine. This is Western planet. It's a desert planet. This is where you'd expect to see that kind of story genre. And so I'm really glad that they opted for that kind of, as that feel. Yeah, that feel and that kind of, storyline. So
good, man. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Any expectations for for a season 2 and time frame, if you had to guess?
I'm just hoping that they expand upon what they have, because this whole season we've been set up that, okay, now Boba Fett feels responsible for this town because he's a good guy. And like Fennec said, well, if not us, then who? So it's like, okay, well, it's true. If we don't do it, some other, not so nice person's going to come along.
Was that him saying he doesn't want to do it anymore? Or was that him saying, no, it has to be us?
No, I think it was him saying, should we do it, to her? And her saying, yeah, I mean, if we don't, someone's going to come in and corrupt everything, ruin everything, and we're going to just be handing it over to them, these people that we despise. We got to do it. And also, I kind of liked how he said I would have liked, if I had my storyline,
I
would have liked him and Fennec to have paired up, gone off and done a bounty together, trying to pick up where he left off, and then realized, why am I still doing this? Why am I just a pawn in someone else's power struggle?
Right.
An expendable pawn as well. Why am I doing this? And then had that conversation, because he had that conversation over the campfire with Fennec when he kind of, told her that he'd fixed her up and, you're with me now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I would have liked him to have arrived at that conclusion, like later on. The fact that we came in at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian and he's already pulling Bib off the throne. I would have liked to have seen just some, like I said, chronological order, time with the Tuskens. Tuskens get wiped out at some point through an error he made trying to help them. And then all that other stuff plays out, but in the order that it does chronologically.
Yeah.
But it could have been so, after that third episode, when everyone was kind of like, uproar about the mods and the slowest car chase in
the internet was on fire, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please, I want to come out of this, like, with something.
Yeah.
And I felt like I have that. I felt like they gave me it in the end. It took 4 till 7 to kind of repair some of the damages that had been done.
That's how a lot of people felt. Yeah, I mean, episode 3, people were saying like, oh God, not another Luke Skywalker, not another sequel trilogy, not something like, we don't want to see a legacy character get squashed.
I really was worried that he'd be killed off in episode 7.
Yeah.
I thought it might be a way to decisively, instead of him being a Sarlacc where it's a big question mark, and it's been a question mark for, since 1983.
Yeah.
Instead of having another one of them, show him dead, decapitated like his father, or something like that.
Oh.
No, I really thought that they would kill him off, kind of like, just to be done with it, maybe.
Just to really wrap it up.
Because they had their new Mandalore, Din Djarin, to carry on instead of him. So the fact that he was alive at the end of episode 7, I was relieved. I was so relieved that he. And I'm so relieved I was when he was on the floor and Cad Bane was over him, and I was like, just use the coffee stick.
Yeah.
Use your coffee stick. And so there's a lot of fulfilling moments that patched a lot of holes in for me anyway.
Do you think Cad Bane survived?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. I'm not a big fan of keep resurrecting every character,
No one's ever really gone.
Star Wars. I want some. There's got to be some death in Star Wars. He's had his legacy. He's had his whole adventures, and it came down to that one point. One of them had to go. So I'm glad it was him, not Boba.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't want to have that be the end for Cad Bane because it's a fan favorite character, and he really had a very short time on the show.
Okay, that I understand that. I wish he had more. I wish we'd seen him a lot more.
He should have been in episode 2.
It could have been episode 1.
Yeah,
it could have been episode 1. As soon as it turns up, like you see something, he's with the Pikes or whatever, something just to kind of plant the seed. And, oh, he's around, and he could have been more involved with the Pikes along the way, kind of in the background, kind of like a Darth Maul standing behind.
Yeah,
leader of the Pikes, kind of like making sure no one spoke out of line or said anything disrespectful or whatever, or argued. I would have much preferred him to be in it, but I guess that would have taken away from that reveal we had in episode 6. And
yeah, that's fair.
There's pros and cons, but I wish he had been in it more, because it is a shame that he was in it and then taken out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been at it for just about an hour. If it's all right with you, I've got a couple questions from people in the chat. You okay fielding a couple questions from the peanut gallery out here? All right. Okay. So a good friend of mine, the Mac Cave, wondering if you've got any upcoming projects that you're allowed to talk about.
The only thing I've upcoming is the thing I'm working on right now, and that's Ultraman. It's a anime feature movie. It's going to come straight out onto Netflix when it's done. I'm working on that till end of July, and then I'm not sure what's happening after that. But Ultraman anime feature film.
Ultraman. All right, Matt Cave stoked on it. Good. I think he likes some of the anime stuff for sure. Nerdporial life form for Mark. Is Jabba a wonderful human being?
He used to be in Return of the Jedi. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of Jabba in the special editions. So I don't know. For me, there was the original puppet was flawless,
right?
Like absolutely flawless. And they've done such a great job of bringing practical back for a lot of these characters in the new sequel movies. So sequel movies, we get less CG and more practical, and that's always a big plus.
Yeah.
So I was hoping to see. I wish that we'd done that with special edition. But at that time, this is when George was wondering how much he could recycle using a computer, and that's why we have brachiosaurs for Rontos, and that's why we have raptors as scurriers, because he was trying a lot of things out. And the best thing about the overuse of CG in the prequels is that we learned the lesson, that too much CG looks horrible, and also it doesn't give for good performances, because Ewan McGregor would much rather bounce his acting off of another person there than someone in a green screen suit with dots on his face,
Yeah. And that's a huge thing that they're doing with the volume. And I think, Ewan was really excited about that. He's like, it's not all blue.
Yeah. Because you feel like you're there. You feel like there. And, that's the great thing. The great thing about being on any kind of movie set is that feeling like you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like when you're
in Star
movie
Wars
set. I mean, my experience in Star Wars was a blue screen, so it's exactly the same as the prequels. But when you're on an actual movie set, it's some of those large movie sets are
just incredible.
Yeah.
I do have a question. So I have a resident Boba file in my community. You would love this guy. His name's Strike. I was gonna say, hey, if you want to pop on, but he's in Germany. He's actually at his dad's right now, so he doesn't have the connection for it. But he takes the time to go through absolutely every small detail when it comes to the armor and everything like that. And he's wondering, why is Boba Fett wearing different armor, and where is Jango's armor?
Different armor in the special edition?
In the book of Boba Fett.
Oh, in the book of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I mean, I understand that his armor now is a combination of Tusken and Boba.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the black robes and the hood underneath his armor, so it's a kind of a combination of those two kind of disciplines. So it's changed for that reason. I think spending so much time with the Tuskens. So I understand that. I wasn't a big fan of how quickly he repainted his helmet. You know, when he got the helmet out and it was all like, silvered up and scratched, I thought it looked the sexiest it's ever looked.
That was
I
a
want
good
a
looking
black
armor.
series of that helmet. You know, on EFX of that helmet. This one's great, but that silvered one, give me that one.
Yeah.
So when he suddenly had it repainted the very next episode, I was like, dang it. What?
And I really liked the Mandalorian armor when he had it repainted in the Mandalorian. I thought it looked better than the Book of Boba Fett armor.
Yeah. I mean, it did look different. The thing is that when I went before I ever got to be Boba Fett, and I was just, nerding over if I could just see the armor of Boba Fett, and I got to the archives. We got to see the armor on the table, and I was like, questions to Don Bees, and I was asking him how many suits are there, and he said we have enough pieces to make between 5 and 7 full suits of Boba Fett. That's why all the slightly different scratches on everything, because if they're on set and something falls off, they can just put the replacement one on. They don't have to repair it. Yeah. If something happens and the rangefinder falls off or gets knocked off in a stunt, here's another helmet. And in movie, this is before people did study every scratch.
Yeah.
In movie making before, it was quite common practice to just swap it out, and no one's going to notice. They shouldn't, but people, now ever since they came out with the laser disc where they could stop everything on a frame.
Yeah.
That's when people started picking on everything. And so the fact that it changes is just a practical one. Usually it's just, new suit to fit new character, because, Tem's never been in the Boba Fett suit before this. So they had to make a Boba Fett suit that fits him at his size and stature, that he can move comfortably in. So it was redesigned for that reason. And, some people might think it was a marketing ploy as well. Let's change the suit so we can sell new toys or something like that.
I did buy the Black Series Mando, or I'm sorry, the Black Series Boba re-armor, and now I'm like, well, it's not the one from the Book of Boba Fett, so I'm sure we'll get a repaint for the Book of Boba Fett helmet.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
But there's no continuity. Like when I turned up on set for the Docking Bay 94 shoot, and I was like, wait a minute, the skull's on this side.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's too late to do anything about it now. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll just do it. And I didn't want to say, you know what, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because of things on the wrong side.
Better not make a stink. Just get on camera.
I just wanted to be in that suit, on that blue screen set, and in the movie. I didn't care about anything else. And if the shoulder bells are swapped, I don't care. I just wanted to be in the movie. But some people get really upset about the continuity. But then, I always put it down to, okay, Boba Fett's going to go out, and if he has got something damaged, he'll just like they did in the archives. He's got spares, put the other one on. Yeah. And so that was kind of my logic for why helmets and armor looked different from movie to movie. It just happened to be, because who wears the same thing every day?
Yeah, every day.
Nobody. Only Albert Einstein. That's about it.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Who knows? Right. Who knows?
So I'm gonna drop it one more time to anybody in here, because I think there are some people in here that weren't here at the beginning of the stream. Mark does have his own channel here right on YouTube. You're already up something like 20 subs on your channel. Does some awesome artwork on there. So please go take a look, check it out. Everything that you're looking at behind him, that's all his stuff. And you might start having to do like a weekly Bob Ross, a couple of happy little stormtroopers, and I'll just follow along with a nice cup of tea. That'd be great.
It would be good.
All
when
right.
I retire, when I retire,
anything you want to say to this beautiful Star Wars community before we head out today?
I'm just thankful that the community is here, and I'm thankful for any time that the community can amicably talk about what their passions are and just respect other people's, opinion. Everyone has an opinion. No one's going to have exactly the same opinion as you, but why would you want them to? Because if you lived in a world where everyone agreed with everything you said, how boring would that world be?
So boring.
I mean, I would drive me insane if I went out and everyone had exactly the same preferences I did about everything. It would drive me insane. The fact that we are all different, we look all different and have differences is what makes the human race such a beautiful thing. So,
agreed. Well put, sir. I'm not going to try to top that. So, everybody have a good day. May the force be with you. For the man himself, Mark Anthony Austin, I am Xwing. You guys have a wonderful day.